The Book of Numbers, Chapter 1. In the year following that of the Israelites' departure from the land of Egypt, on the first day of the second month, the Lord said to Moses in the meeting tent in the desert of Sinai, "Take a census of the whole community of the Israelites, by clans and ancestral houses, registering each male individually. You and Aaron shall enroll in companies all the men in Israel of 20 years or more who are fit for military service. To assist you there shall be a man from each tribe, the head of his ancestral house. These are the names of those who are to assist you. From Reuben, Elazar, son of Shadur. From Simeon, Shalumiel, son of Zurishaddai. From Judah, Nashon, son of Aminadab. From Issachar, Nathanael, son of Zoar. From Zebulun, Eliab, son of Helon. From Ephraim, Elishama, son of Ammihud. And from Manasseh, Gamaliel, son of Pedazur. For the descendants of Joseph. From Benjamin, Abidan, son of Gideoni. From Dan, Izar, son of Ammishaddai. From Asher, Pagiel, son of Akran. From Gad, Eliasaph, son of Ruel. From Naphtali, Ahira, son of Anan. These were counselors of the community, princes of their ancestral tribes, chiefs of the troops of Israel. So Moses and Aaron took these men who had been designated and assembled the whole community on the first day of the second month. Every man of 20 years or more then declared his name and lineage according to clan and ancestral house, as the Lord had commanded Moses. This is their census as taken in the desert of Sinai, of the descendants of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, registered by lineage and clans and ancestral houses, with all the males of 20 years or more who were fit for military service were polled. 46,500 were enrolled in the tribe of Reuben. Of the descendants of Simeon, registered by lineage and clans and ancestral houses, when all the males of 20 years or more who were fit for military service were polled, 59,300 were enrolled in the tribe of Simeon. Of the descendants of Gad, registered by lineage in clans and ancestral houses, when all the males of 20 years or more who were fit for military service were polled, 45,650 were enrolled in the tribe of Gad. Of the descendants of Judah, registered by lineage in clans and ancestral houses, when all the males of 20 years or more who were fit for military service were polled, 74,600 were enrolled in the tribe of Judah. Of the descendants of Issachar, registered by lineage in clans and ancestral houses, when all the males of 20 years or more who were fit for military service were polled, 54,400 were enrolled in the tribe of Issachar. Of the descendants of Zebulun, registered by lineage in clans and ancestral houses, when all the males of 20 years or more who were fit for military service were polled, 57,400 were enrolled in the tribe of Zebulun. Of the descendants of Joseph, of the descendants of Ephraim, registered by lineage in clans and ancestral houses, when all the males of 20 years or more who were fit for military service were polled, 40,500 were enrolled in the tribe of Ephraim. Of the descendants of Manasseh, registered by lineage in clans and ancestral houses, when all the males of 20 years or more who were fit for military service were polled, 32,200 were enrolled in the tribe of Manasseh. Of the descendants of Benjamin, registered by lineage in clans and ancestral houses, when all the males of 20 years or more who were fit for military service were polled, 35,200 were enrolled in the tribe of Benjamin. Of the descendants of Dan, registered by lineage in clans and ancestral houses, when all the males of 20 years or more who were fit for military service were polled, 62,700 were enrolled in the tribe of Dan. Of the descendants of Asher, registered by lineage in clans and ancestral houses, when all the males of 20 years or more who were fit for military service were polled, 41,500 were enrolled in the tribe of Asher. Of the descendants of Naphtali, registered by lineage in clans and ancestral houses, When all the males of 20 years or more who were fit for military service were polled, 53,400 were enrolled in the tribe of Naphtali. It was these who were registered, each according to his ancestral house, in the census taken by Moses and Aaron and the 12 princes of Israel. The total number of the Israelites of 20 years or more who were fit for military service registered by ancestral houses was 603,550. The Levites, however, were not registered by ancestral tribe with the others, for the Lord had told Moses, "The tribe of Levi alone you shall not enroll, nor include in the census along with the other Israelites. You are to give the Levites charge of the dwelling of the commandments, with all its equipment and all that belongs to it. It is they who shall carry the dwelling with all its equipment, and who shall be its ministers. They shall therefore camp around the dwelling. When the dwelling is to move on, the Levites shall take it down. When the dwelling is to be pitched, it is the Levites who shall set it up. Any layman who comes near it shall be put to death, while the other Israelites shall camp by companies, each in his own division of the camp. The Levites shall camp around the dwelling of the commandments. Otherwise God's wrath will strike the Israelite community. The Levites then shall have charge of the dwelling of the commandments." All this the Israelites fulfilled as the Lord had commanded Moses. Chapter 2. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "The Israelites shall camp each in his own division under the ensigns of their ancestral houses. They shall camp around the meeting tent, but at some distance from it. Encamped on the east side, toward the sunrise, shall be the divisional camp of Judah, arranged in companies." The prince of the Judites was Nahshon, son of Amminadab, and his soldiers amounted in the census to 74,600. With Judah shall camp the tribe of Issachar. Their prince was Nethanel, son of Zuar, and his soldiers amounted in the census to 54,400. And the tribe of Zebulun. Their prince was Eliab, son of Helon, and his soldiers amounted in the census to 57,400. The total number of those registered by companies in the camp of Judah was 186,400. These shall be first on the march. On the south side shall be the divisional camp of Reuben, arranged in companies. Their prince was Eleazar, son of Shadur, and his soldiers amounted in the census to 46,500. Beside them shall camp the tribe of Simeon. Their prince was Shelumiel, son of Zurishaddai, and his soldiers amounted in the census to 59,300. And next the tribe of Gad. Their prince was Eliasaph, son of Ruel, and his soldiers amounted in the census to 45,650. The total number of those registered by companies in the camp of Reuben was 151,450. These shall be second on the march. Then the meeting tent and the camp of the Levites shall set out in the middle of the line. As in camp, so also on the march. Every man shall be in his proper place, with his own division. On the west side shall be the divisional camp of Ephraim, arranged in companies. Their prince was Elishama, son of Ammihud, and his soldiers amounted in the census to 40,500. Beside them shall camp the tribe of Manasseh. Their prince was Gamaliel, son of Pedazur, and his soldiers amounted in the census to 32,200. And the tribe of Benjamin. Their prince is Abidan, son of Gideoni, and his soldiers amounted in the census to 35,400. The total number of those registered by companies in the camp of Ephraim was 108,100. These shall be third on the march. On the north side shall be the divisional camp of Dan, arranged in companies. Their prince is Ahiezer, son of Ammishaddai, and his soldiers amounted in the census to 62,700. Beside them Their prince is Pagiel, son of Ochran, and his soldiers amounted in the census to 41,500. And next the tribe of Naphtali. Their prince is Ahira, son of Enan, and his soldiers amounted in the census to 53,400. The total number of those registered by companies in the camp of Dan was 157,600. These shall be the last of the divisions on the march. This was the census of the Israelites taken by ancestral houses. The total number of those registered by companies in the camps was 603,550. The Levites, however, were not registered with the other Israelites, for so the Lord had commanded Moses. The Israelites did just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Both in camp and on the march they were in their own divisions, every man according to his clan and his ancestral house. Chapter 3. The following were the descendants of Aaron and Moses at the time that the Lord spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai. The sons of Aaron were Nadab, his firstborn, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These are the names of the sons of Aaron, the anointed priests, who were ordained to exercise the priesthood. But when Nadab and Abihu offered profane fire before the Lord in the desert of Sinai, they met death in the presence of the Lord, and left no sons. Thereafter, only Eleazar and Ithamar performed the priestly functions under the direction of their father Aaron. Now the Lord said to Moses, "Summon the tribe of Levi and present them to Aaron the priest as his assistants. They shall discharge his obligations and those of the whole community before the meeting tent by serving at the dwelling. They shall have custody of all the furnishings of the meeting tent and discharge the duties of the Israelites in the service of the dwelling. You shall give the Levites to Aaron and his sons. They have been set aside from among the Israelites as dedicated to me, but only Aaron and his descendants shall you appoint to have charge of the priestly functions. Any layman who comes near shall be put to death." The Lord said to Moses, "It is I who have chosen the Levites from the Israelites in place of every firstborn that opens the womb among the Israelites. The Levites therefore are mine, because every firstborn is mine. When I slew all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I made all the firstborn in Israel sacred to me, both of man and of beast. They belong to me. I am the Lord." The Lord said to Moses in the desert of Sinai, "Take a census of the Levites by ancestral houses and clans, registering every male of a month or more." Moses therefore took their census in accordance with the command the Lord had given him. The sons of Levi were named Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. The descendants of Gershon, by clans, were named Libni and Shimei. The descendants of Kohath, by clans, were Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uzziel. The descendants of Merari, by clans, were Mahli and Mushi. These were the clans of the Levites by ancestral houses. To Gershon belonged the clan of the Libanites and the clan of the Shimeites. These were the clans of the Gershonites. When all their males of a month or more were registered, they numbered 7,500. The clans of the Gershonites camped behind the dwelling to the west. The prince of their ancestral house was Eliasaph, son of Lael. At the meeting tent they had charge of whatever pertained to the dwelling, the tent and its covering, the curtain at the entrance of the meeting tent, the hangings of the court, the curtain at the entrance of the court enclosing both the dwelling and the altar, and the ropes. To Kohath belonged the clans of the Amramites, the Izharites, the Hebronites, and the Uzzielites. These were the clans of the Kohathites. When all their males of a month or more were registered, they numbered 8,300. They had charge of the sanctuary. The clans of the Kohathites camped at the south side of the dwelling. The prince of their ancestral house was Elizaphan, son of Uzziel. They had charge of whatever pertained to the ark, the table, the lampstand, the altars, the utensils with which the ministry of the sanctuary was exercised, and the veil. The chief prince of the Levites, however, was Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, who was supervisor over those who had charge of the sanctuary. To Merari belonged the clans of the Mahlites and the Mushites. These were the clans of Merari. When all their males of a month or more were registered, they numbered 6,200. The prince of the ancestral house of the clans of Merari was Zuriel, son of Abihail. They camped at the north side of the dwelling. The Merarites were charged with the care of whatever pertained to the boards of the dwelling, its bars, columns, pedestals, and all its fittings, as well as the columns of the surrounding court with their pedestals, pegs, and ropes. East of the dwelling, that is, in front of the meeting tent, towards the sunrise, were camped Moses and Aaron and the latter's sons. They discharged the obligations of the sanctuary for the Israelites. Any layman who came near was to be put to death. The total number of male Levites, a month old or more, whom Moses had registered by clans in keeping with the Lord's command, was 22,000. The Lord then said to Moses, "Take a census of all the firstborn males of the Israelites, a month old or more, and compute their total number. Then assign the Levites to me, the Lord, in place of all the firstborn of the Israelites, as well as their cattle in place of all the firstborn among the cattle of the Israelites." So Moses took a census of all the firstborn of the Israelites, as the Lord had commanded him. When all the firstborn males of a month or more were registered, they numbered 22,273. The Lord said to Moses, "Take the Levites in place of all the firstborn of the Israelites, and the Levites' cattle in place of their cattle, that the Levites may belong to me. I am the Lord, as ransom for the 273 firstborn of the Israelites, who outnumber the Levites. You shall take 5 shekels for each individual, according to the standard of the sanctuary shekel, 20 gerahs to the shekel. Give this silver to Aaron and his sons as ransom for the extra number." So Moses took the silver as ransom for those who were left when the rest had been redeemed by the Levites. From the firstborn of the Israelites, he received in silver 1,365 shekels according to the sanctuary standard. He then gave this ransom silver to Aaron and his sons, as the Lord had commanded him. Chapter 4. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Among the Levites, take a total of the Kohathites by clans and ancestral houses, all the men of the Kohathites between 30 and 50 years of age. These are to undertake obligatory tasks in the meeting tent. The services of the Kohathites in the meeting tent concerns the most sacred objects. In breaking camp, Aaron and his son shall go in and take down the screening curtain and cover the Ark of the Commandments with it. Over these they shall put a cover of tahash skin, and on the top of this spread an all-violet cloth. They shall then put the poles in place. On the table of the presence they shall spread a violet cloth and put on it the plates and cups, as well as the bowls and pitchers for libations. The established bread offering shall remain on the table. Over these they shall spread a scarlet cloth and cover all this with tahash skin. They shall then put the poles in place. They shall use a violet cloth to cover the lampstand with its lamps, trimming shears and trays, as well as the various containers of oil from which it is supplied. The lampstand with all its utensils they shall then enclose in a covering of tahash skin and place on a litter. Over the golden altar they shall spread a violet cloth and cover this also with a covering of tahash skin. They shall then put the poles in place. Taking the utensils of the sanctuary service, they shall wrap them all in violet cloth and cover them with tahash skin. They shall then place them on a litter. After cleansing the altar of its ashes, they shall spread a purple cloth over it. On this they shall put
fire pans, forks, shovels, basins, and all the utensils of the altar. They shall then spread a covering of tahash skin over this and put the poles in place. Only after Aaron and his sons have finished covering the sacred objects and all their utensils on breaking camp shall the Kohathites enter to carry them. But they shall not touch the sacred objects. If they do, they will die. These then are the objects in the meeting tent that the Kohathites shall carry. Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, shall be in charge of the oil for the light, the fragrant incense, the established cereal offering, and the anointing oil. He shall be in charge of the whole dwelling with all the sacred objects and utensils that are in it.
The Lord said to Moses and Aaron,
Do not let the group of Kohathite clans perish from the body of the Levites, that they may live and not die when they approach the most sacred objects. This is what you shall do for them. Aaron and his son shall go in and assign to each of them his task and what he must carry. But the Kohathites shall not go in to look upon the sacred objects, even for an instant. If they do, they will die.
The Lord said to Moses,
Take a total among the Gershonites also by ancestral houses and clans of all the men between 30 and 50 years of age. These are to undertake obligatory tasks in the meeting tent. This is the task of the clan of the Gershonites, what they must do and what they must carry. They shall carry the sheets of the dwelling, the meeting tent with its covering and the outer wrapping of tahash skin, the curtain at the entrance of the meeting tent, the hangings of the court, the curtain at the entrance of the court that encloses both the dwelling and the altar, together with their ropes and all other objects necessary in their use. Whatever is to be done with these things shall be their task. The service of the Gershonites shall be entirely under the direction of Aaron and his sons, with regard to what they must do and what they must carry. You shall make each man of them responsible for what he is to carry. This, then, is the task of the Gershonites in the meeting tent, and they shall be under the supervision of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. Among the Merarites, too, you shall enroll by clans and ancestral houses all their men between 30 and 50 years of age. These are to undertake obligatory tasks in the meeting tent. This is what they shall be responsible for carrying. All the years of their service in the meeting tent, the boards of the dwelling with its bars, columns, and pedestals, and the columns of the surrounding court with their pedestals, pegs, and ropes. You shall designate for each man of them all the objects connected with his service, which he shall be responsible for carrying. This, then, is the task of the clans of the Merarites during all their service in the meeting tent, under the supervision of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest.
So Moses and Aaron and the princes of the community made a registration among the Kohathites by clans and ancestral houses, of all the men between 30 and 50 years of age. These were to undertake obligatory tasks in the meeting tent. As registered by clans, they numbered 2,750. Such was the census of all the men of the Kohathite clans who were to serve in the meeting tent, which Moses took, together with Aaron, as the Lord bade him. The registration was then made among the Gershonites by clans and ancestral houses, of all the men between 30 and 50 years of age. These were to undertake obligatory tasks in the meeting tent, as registered by clans and ancestral houses. They numbered 2,630. Such was the census of all the men of the Gershonite clans who were to serve in the meeting tent, which Moses took, together with Aaron, at the Lord's bidding. Then the registration was made among the Merarites, by clans and ancestral houses, of all the men from 30 up to 50 years of age. These were to undertake obligatory tasks in the meeting tent, as registered by clans. They numbered 3,200. Such was the census of the men of the Merarite clans, which Moses took together with Aaron as the Lord bade him. Therefore, when Moses and Aaron and the Israelite princes had completed the registration among the Levites, by clans and ancestral houses, of all the men between 30 and 50 years of age, who were to undertake tasks of service or transport of the meeting tent, The total number registered was 8,580. According to the Lord's bidding to Moses, they gave them individual assignments for service and for transport. So the Lord had commanded Moses. Chapter 5. The Lord said to Moses,
Order the Israelites to expel from camp every leper and everyone suffering from a discharge and everyone who has become unclean by contact with a corpse, male and female alike. You shall compel them to go out of the camp. They are not to defile the camp in which I dwell.
The Israelites obeyed the command that the Lord had given Moses. They expelled them from the camp. The Lord said to Moses,
Tell the Israelites, if a man or woman commits a fault against his fellow man and wrongs him, thus breaking faith with the Lord, he shall confess the wrong he has done, restore his ill-gotten goods in full, and in addition give 1/5 of their value to the one he has wronged. However, if the latter has no next of kin to whom restoration of the ill-gotten goods can be made, the goods to be restored shall be the Lord's, and shall fall to the priest. This is apart from the atonement ram, with which the priest makes amends for the guilty man. Likewise, every sacred contribution that the Israelites are bound to make shall fall to the priest. Each Israelite man may dispose of his own sacred contributions. They become the property of the priest to whom he gives them.
The Lord said to Moses,
Speak to the Israelites and tell them, if a man's wife goes astray and becomes unfaithful to him by having intercourse with another man, though her husband has not sufficient evidence of the fact, so that her impurity remains unproved for lack of a witness who might have caught her in the act, or if a man is overcome by a feeling of jealousy that makes him suspect his wife, whether she was actually impure or not, he shall bring his wife to the priest, and shall take along as an offering for her 1/10 of an ephah of barley meal. However, he shall not pour oil on it, nor put frankincense over it, since it is a cereal offering of jealousy, a cereal offering for an appeal in a question of guilt. The priest shall first have the woman come forward and stand before the Lord. In an earthen vessel he shall meanwhile put some holy water, as well as some dust that he has taken from the floor of the dwelling. Then, as the woman stands before the Lord, the priest shall uncover her head and place in her hands the cereal offering of her appeal, that is, the cereal offering of jealousy, while he himself shall hold the bitter water that brings a curse. Then he shall adjure the woman, saying to her, if no other man has had intercourse with you, and you have not gone astray by impurity while under the authority of your husband, be immune to the curse brought by this bitter water. But if you have gone astray while under the authority of your husband, and have acted impurely by letting a man other than your husband have intercourse with you, so shall the priest adjure the woman with this oath of imprecation. May the Lord make you an example of malediction and imprecation among your people by causing your thighs to waste away and your belly to swell. May this water then, that brings a curse, enter your body to make your belly swell and your thighs waste away. And the woman shall say, Amen, amen. The priest shall put these imprecations in writing, and shall then wash them off into the bitter water, which he is to have the woman drink, so that it may go into her with all its bitter curse. But first he shall take the cereal offering of jealousy from the woman's hand, and having waved this offering before the Lord, shall put it near the altar, where he shall take a handful of the cereal offering as its token offering, and burn it on the altar. Only then shall he have the woman drink the water. Once she has done so, if she has been impure and unfaithful to her husband, this bitter water that brings a curse will go into her, and her belly will swell, and her thighs will waste away, so that she will become an example of imprecation among her people. If, however, the woman has not defiled herself, but is still pure, she will be immune, and will still be able to bear children. This, then, is the law for jealousy. When a woman goes astray while under the authority of her husband and acts impurely, or when such a feeling of jealousy comes over a man that he becomes suspicious of his wife, he shall have her stand before the Lord, and the priest shall apply this law in full to her. The man shall be free